Wake up! Hey! Wake it! Wake it up! You wake up! Does that make me crazy?
Hi guys, this is Miss Meyer with another episode of the Miss Meyer Show. We're having some difficulties, a little bit of technical difficulties today with the phone. We're supposed to be recording the pictures, so we'll move on from there. It shouldn't be too much. So we're continuing on with our Chapter 3. This is Chapter 3, Part 2. There's kind of a lot of information in Chapter 3 that we want to make sure that you guys can get through and that you understand. So there'll be a Chapter 3, Part 2 and a Chapter 3, Part 3. So now we're kind of on the second part. The last time we talked about LaSalle, we talked about Iberville and Bienville, we talked about DeSoto, we talked about all those individuals. But now it's time to talk about once the French had established their colony. Is remember, the French with LaSalle had come here and they staked their claim in Louisiana. They said, we claim this land for, King Louis of France. Well, then LaSalle never did come back. And so King Louis sent Iberville and Bienville to go and establish this colony. I have this really crazy piece of hair here and it's driving me loco. Ah! Oh, well. Sorry. Just gonna deal with it. It's what happens. This is what happens with curly hair. All right. So now Iberville and Bienville, they're two brothers. And so they're over in Louisiana and they're setting up this first permanent settlement. Now, once they do get there, though, there's a lot of issues that are facing the brothers that they were in no way, shape, or form able to handle. They could not. So Iberville, because he was like kind of, the more mature brother, the go-getter, all that kind of stuff, he said, okay, Bienville, who's the little brother, he said, you stay here and I'm going to go and go get some more stuff and you're in charge, okay? You're in control. Well, Bienville was like, I'm in control. I'm in charge. Sometimes I do that to my 11-year-old, like when I know that, because it irritates my 16-year-old. And if I'm going somewhere, I'll be like, okay, Kate, you're in charge. She's like, I'm in charge. So that's kind of like how Bienville was at that time. So Bienville was not as much of a go-getter as his brother. His brother was obviously the one that was going to go out there and get it done and to make sure that it was done properly and all those kinds of things. Bienville was not, okay? He was really a party kind of have fun type of guy. So he wasn't as, disciplined as Iberville was. Now, while he was gone, Iberville, wait, I wanted to go over that one. Did we do over Fort Maurepas? Let's do it again. Well, anyway, I'll just give you a quick rundown. So, Iberville and Bienville, they did establish this first permanent settlement for the French in a location called Fort Maurepas. Okay, that's what the place was. Bienville went and he searched it all out. He went to navigate it, make sure everything was there and that it was a good place to settle. Iberville, meanwhile, went back to France to get the supplies. Now, Bienville, he was a really charismatic guy. I mean, and when I say charismatic, I mean like the type of person that people just like. That kind of guy. The kind of guy that's like, everybody's like, hey, how you doing? A lot of people in Louisiana are very charismatic. I mean, think about it. It's not like that here in Texas. But you go to Louisiana and you're going to meet somebody, and I guarantee they're going to be talking to you like they're your best friend. They're going to want to bring you to meet their families and to have dinner and all these other kind of things at their house. So you're going to have a really big time, relationship with this person. And that's just the way it was, really, at that period of time. And, like that in Louisiana. Bienville was like that. So he was going to interact with the Native Americans that were living already in Louisiana, but he was doing it in a way that was very unthreatening. So, like when the Spanish had come here and they had settled, places like Hernando de Soto, and when the English had gone and they had settled all of the establishments on the eastern coast of Louisiana, those, encounters with those European explorers were not good. So, of course, when they saw Bienville, they were like, oh, wait, we don't want to get involved with this. We don't want any of this. But Bienville approached them differently. He didn't come at them with like, this is mine or whatever. He tried to speak with them. He tried to build a relationship with them so that they could work together. Because Bienville knew that he and his brother and a lot of these people that were coming, you know, with them, the other Frenchmen, they were not prepared for any kind of life that was here in Louisiana. But the Native Americans, on the other hand, were well versed in how to do it. So they were going to be the ones that was really, really going to be the way to help them to survive. So Bienville made sure he was not threatening. He was like, hey, look, I understand. You've lived here for generations. That is wonderful. I'm not trying to take anything from you. I don't want your land. I just want to say hi, and I want to just talk about, you know, how to do stuff. And that really proved beneficial, not only for Louisiana, but for Bienville in the later stages. Now, as Fort Maurepas began to grow, I mean, there was lots of issues that Bienville could, you know, not handle, even with having the Native Americans on his side. So given those problems, Iberville, when he had returned and, you know, consulted with his brother and things like that, they decided that they needed to have some new forts because it just was not going to work. Maurepas was just not in a very good location, just not beneficial. And we'll see later how Bienville continues to find bad locations for places, okay? You don't want him as your real estate agent, seriously. So they open up these new forts, and they, you know, places in, where is it? Like, they start a new fort in present-day Phoenix, Louisiana, which I don't even know where that's at. Phoenix, Louisiana, I can't even tell you. I'm above, like, Mandeville, and that I'm pretty much lost. Hold on. I don't even heard of Phoenix, Louisiana. I've got to look in my little map. You know, in the very back, oh, you know, I have the physical textbook because I'm awesome. You guys have the virtual one. But in the very back of even your virtual one, you have, starting on page, like 462, you've got all these cool maps and stuff. And, like, this is the world, obviously. You know, and here's the United States, in case you need those. Which is okay, you know, whatever. And then we start into the Louisiana maps. So we've got this one, which is the rivers and lakes. This one, which is the regions, kind of tells you where it is. The Hill region, Terrace region, Red River Valley, Mississippi floodplain. That's us down in Chalmette. Woo! High five, Chalmatians. And New Orleans. And then we've got parishes on this page. And then we've got major cities and highways. So let's look and see if I can find, oh, and then we've got some congressional districts, Senate districts. We're not going to go into those right now. Let's see if I can find, oh, I lost my place in the book. I don't even remember. All right, hold on. Modern day Phoenix, Louisiana. They have places, like city names and places like that are from other cities and states. Like there's a Paris, Texas, and a Rome, Texas. All kind of stuff here. It's pretty cool. So let's look and see if we can find Phoenix, Louisiana. I don't see it on my map. So I may have to look it up and see, because this is just parishes. Hey, if you can find Phoenix, Louisiana, point it out to us in class. I'll be very happy. Okay? So it was modern day Phoenix. I really don't, it doesn't even say. Oh, it's going to drive me crazy until I find it, which I will find it. I will. Just not right this second. Oh! I can't. I've got to find it. I've got to find out where Phoenix, Louisiana is. So hold on. I'm going to look it up on one of my 3 screens that I've got in front of me. Right. Okay, so I'm going to say. It is East Bank of Louisiana. Give me like a bigger map. Oh, so it's way down the road. It's like it's almost in Plaquemines Parish. It is in Plaquemines Parish. It is. Okay, so now we know where Phoenix is. It's way down in Plaquemines. That's like some more Chalmette people, right? Yeah, that's us. All right, sorry. I'm a little excited about my parish, you know, because we're just so that cool. So They set up this new establishment. Like I said, you don't want these Bienville or Iberville. Either one, you don't want them to be your real estate agent, because they're setting up these establishments because they're saying, wow, yeah, it's right here at the mouth of the Mississippi, but they're not figuring out that it's going to flood. They had not had a hurricane season hit them yet. They don't know about the mosquitoes. They don't know what's going to happen. They have no idea. So yeah, they're setting up these establishments and they're like, great, this is going to be wonderful. And they have no idea what's about to hit them. Really. Okay. So now they set up this new place, and, you know, Iberville says, okay, Bienville, you're in charge. I've got to go get some more supplies, because the supplies that they had over at Fort Maurepas were not usable anymore. I mean, they were pretty much decimated. So Iberville goes back to France, and he leaves. Okay. So he leaves Bienville in charge, and Bienville, while his brother is gone, he realizes that he's got a lot of freedom without his brother there, because his brother kind of kept him on the straight and narrow in a little bit. So Bienville went and started doing pretty, you know, underhanded, shady dealings. He became involved in a major war that was going on in Europe at that time. It was called King Charles's War. It was between Spain and England. He neglected the colony. He pocketed a bunch of money. He would, you know, say, hey, you know, send me some more money. Everything's going great. And he would just take it instead. He was having very illicit personal relationships with a lot of, you know, the people that were in the colony at that time. And it was just, he was not doing, he was drinking. He was, you know, doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, he was having a good old time, okay? So eventually, Iberville's like, gets no word of this. And he's like, your brother is just, he's off his box. He's going wild there. And so Bienville eventually had to step down, because it got to the point where Bienville was getting so entangled into bad things that the king and all of the rulers, not really all the rulers, but the king and the head officials that were kind of working to establish Louisiana had said, okay, we can't let you handle this anymore. So we're going to give it to someone else to be in charge of. Gosh, my hair looks so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. So sorry. Lo siento. Okay. So the king establishes something called a proprietorship. Say that 3 times fast. Proprietorship, proprietorship, proprietorship. I did it really well, so I'm surprised. So anyway, he sets up this proprietorship. And what this is that he kind of gives the title of Louisiana. Like if you're going to go buy a house or a car and you give someone the title, it's theirs. So he realized that he's not making as much money as he thought he would be making with Louisiana that he had earlier anticipated. So he decides that he's going to have to try to recover some of his losses. So a way to do that was by giving this charter, selling it, you know, to someone else, a business or an organization that was very profitable and that could make money and would pay for it. And in return, they would own the majority of the colony. And when they did make money, they would pay a portion over it to the king. It's kind of like rent. They were kind of like leasing Louisiana. So the king gave it to this one guy, the first guy of the proprietorship. He was a businessman. He was a really smart businessman. And his name was Antoine Crozat. That's how I think that's how you say it. I'm pretty sure. I don't speak French. No hablo François. Habla inglés y español. So I only speak English and Spanish. So Crozat is in control over all of this Louisiana area now. So he's the one that's going to be in charge. No more Bienville, because Bienville, he is gone. And I'm like, have to brush my hair here. It's that bad. It's really bad. This is a boar bristle brush, ladies. It's a really good brush. And gentlemen, whoever have, you know, want to brush their hair. It's really good. And last time I was in a hotel, I couldn't find it. So I was like, they stole my brush, talking to the maid. I was like going crazy. Like, I cannot find my brush. Someone stole it. I know they did. But it was in my bag. But, you know, no one stole it. But that's good. So maybe I get a hair tie. Tie this thing up. It's everywhere. Oh, well. I don't even have a hair tie. I am just like verklempt here. I've got Nothing. I'm going to cut all this out. It's driving me crazy. All right. Okay, so Crozat now, Antoine Crozat, he's in charge. Now, he's a businessman, and he's, like any businessman, head big-time businessman, they're not going to really be very present in any one venture. If you talk to any businessman about how they run their business, they themselves are not the ones that are really kind of keeping an eye on it. A good businessman has subordinates or managers underneath him that keep track of what's going on in the business as far as, just the day-to-day things. And then your good managers will report back to the boss, okay? That's what my husband does. He's got all these people that do all the work, and then they come back and they say, oh, everything's going great, and he's like, great good job, that's it. So Crozat was this guy. He was not the guy that was going to be boots on the ground. He was not going to be the one maintaining order and things like that in Louisiana, because he was going to stay in France, and he was going to make sure that it ran well by establishing good managers to work there, physically. So he gets this guy, and his name is, I'm going to tell you his full name, okay? His name is Antoine de la Mothe Sieur de Cadillac. But for purposes, because, whatever, we're not going to say all that. And I'm from Chalmette, can't even pronounce all those words. So we're going to call him Cadillac. So Mr. Cadillac, he's on the ground. So Crozat is back in France, and he's like writing letters because they don't have phones and all that kind of good stuff. So he's like, hey, what's going on? Tell me, keep an eye on things. How the relationship with the natives? What are things going on? Well, Cadillac is like, oh, it's crazy here. It's crazy here. Now, this is where the problem comes in. Y'all remember, it's so bad. That's a problem when you're videoing yourself and you can see it. You're like, oh my gosh, look how terrible my hair is. Oh, well, whatever, okay? Don't judge. I had a student last year, adored student, but she would always tell me about my hair. She was like, you have the messiest hair, Miss Meyer. I was like, don't judge me about my hair. All right, so this is the problem. So Bienville, when he was in charge, remember I said he worked really hard to establish this relationship with the Native Americans, and they liked him. They really did. And so I wouldn't say like, oh, let's be best friends, but they were willing to work with him. So now that Cadillac is here, they're going over to Cadillac and they're saying, hey, Cadillac, look, we had a great thing going with Bienville, and, we just want to say hi and introduce ourselves. Well, Cadillac was not like Bienville. He was much more like Iberville, and he didn't want to partake in the same things that that Bienville was known to partake in. Most notably, smoking the peace pipe, okay? Benny Bienville, I called him Benny. That's a cute nickname for him, huh? Okay, anyway. So Bienville would regularly smoke the peace pipe with the Native Americans. Cadillac was like, no way. I am not going to be smoking the peace pipe with you. And they took this as a huge personal insult to not only them, but to their tribe and to their culture and things like that. It's very important to learn about other people's cultures, especially when you're traveling, because some things that you do may be perceived to be extraordinarily rude, okay? It's like here in Texas, in Dallas, we went to a dinner party, and the hostess, you see, in Louisiana, when you walk in the door, your hostess or your host greets you and says, hi, I'm so-and-so. This lady didn't even get up off of the sofa. Back in Louisiana, my mama would have been like, girl, what's wrong with you? But I was like, I can't believe she didn't even get up, But anyway, so moving back to this. So Bienville had a good repertoire with the Native Americans. I wouldn't necessarily call them friends, but I would say that they responded well to one another. Cadillac did not. So it became to the point where the Native Americans were not willing to help the Louisiana settlement under Cadillac. They said, we don't want to work with you. We don't want to trade with you. We don't want to deal with you because you are rude. And so Antoine Crozat, you know, the proprietor, the one that's in charge of everything that's going on in Louisiana, he says, you know what? I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. So you know what, King? I appreciate the opportunity for you letting me be the proprietor here, but I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give it back to you because I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not making any money, so it's no point. So now Cadillac is gone. He's gone, and the king says, I've got to get somebody else in here. Now, meanwhile, we'll talk about this guy in class. I don't want you to forget about Louis Jostrot de Saint-Denis. Now, he's another individual. We're not going to really delve deep to it in the Miss Myers show. We'll talk about him kind of in class. All I want you to know about Saint Denis was that he founded the area that we know now as Natchitoches, Louisiana. He was, he built this trading post and a fort in what is modern-day Natchitoches, Louisiana. And Natchitoches is beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. So, that's what I want you to know. He was with the whole Crozat charter. So, she's the Crozat proprietorship. He was part of it. But instead of sticking around and being the governor like Cadillac was, Saint Denis was kind of like an explorer. So while Cadillac was the governor of the proprietorship of Louisiana, the Saint Denis was kind of like go and search out other things. And he was successful. He didn't have the same issues that Cadillac had. So, but when Cadillac had given back the when Crozat had said, no, I don't want to do this anymore, Saint Denis was like, gone. He was gone too. So now the king didn't want Louisiana back because he's like, I'm not making any money here. I've got to find someone who is willing to take this on. Well, most of the honest businessmen in France at this time were kind of like, we don't want, it's not very profitable. And we don't see an opportunity to make, a good money here, and it doesn't look like it'd be a good investment. So rather unsavory business type people were the ones who came in next and said, I'll take a shot at it. And the king was kind of limited in his options. So he's like, okay, I guess you'll be okay. So he gives it to this guy named John Law. And John Law was a businessman, and he was a successful businessman, but he made his success based on some unsavory practices. And the king was a little leery to put this guy in charge over, Louisiana, this influential city, because remember, they wanted this establishment, this colony, so that they could protect their interests in the Mississippi River. He was a little nervous about having this guy in charge, but he had very few options. But so Law becomes the new proprietorship. So he tells the king, you know what, to make it easier on you and to let you feel more at ease about me taking over, it's not just going to be me, but it's going to be a group of individuals that are very, very well versed in how to run a successful operation. So he and these people created what was called the Mississippi Bubble. That was the name of their organization. And what they did is they were going to run Louisiana. They were going to make a big profit for the king and for France. Now, what he had said was he basically lied. False advertisement. Okay, and you know about false advertisement. If you buy something, this is a false advertisement right here. This is falsely advertised as being able to hold your phone up. It was in the checkout line at Walmart. It was falsely advertised to be able to hold your phone up and do all things. It does not work. The picture that they have in the checkout line at Walmart shows something that it does not do. Okay, it's not that. It does not work. You can think about a ton of different things that is essential to. Okay, around me, Flonase. I have really bad allergies, like really bad allergies. So this is supposed to help me breathe easier, not to die with the pollen. It's really, if I thought it was bad in New Orleans, it's 1,000 times worse here in Texas. This does not, it helps, but it is no way, shape, or form perform like what they say it does. The same thing is with Law, okay? Not Law in general, but John Law. So Law was advertising that Louisiana was full of just a lot of natural resources and minerals that they could refine and make money. Things like iron and oil, gold and silver and copper and all these things, which we really were not. And he was getting people to invest in the Mississippi bubble. So the way that he was going to make money and make profitable things happen in Louisiana was by getting investors. And that's how the stock market kind of works. So if there's a product out there that's, everybody thinks is a great idea, you'll have people that will invest in that in the stock market, and then the shares will go high, and then the owners, the shareholders, they will make money. For example, I've got to think of something. I've got to grab something around me that I can use as an example. Let's say, I don't know why I have these. I bought them. I've collected them through the year. These are my little dolls. So let's say, and who makes him? Little Thinker. Oh, it's called the Unemployed Philosophers Guild. That's the name of the company. That should throw you off right now. So let's say that the Unemployed Philosophers Guild is making a ton of these little Einstein dolls, and they're selling for a fortune, and everybody is buying them. They're like, I really want to get involved with this. So you, as a stock market investor, will say, hey, I want to buy a share in the Little Thinker Unemployed Philosophers Guild. I want to buy a share in that company because I want to make money too. So you buy a share, and every time that share grows, okay, so every time that someone buys a share in this company, the stock rises and the shareholders, major shareholders, make money, okay? So here is, and I have to show you my other one that I've got sitting right here. I'm telling you, I collect these things. If I find them, I'm going to buy them. These are my two big ones, and I've got a bunch of little ones too. I was going to show you my big one, other big one. I like her. We gotta make sure she's properly dressed because her dress falls down sometimes. This is Miss Monroe. Okay, guys. So we've got Albert here and Miss Monroe. If you find one somewhere, you find it on a website or something, please tell me because I need to buy it. I have a problem. I love these things. They're all historical. They're like all over. So what Law did is that he was advertising, saying, hey, you need to come and buy stock in my company. We've got some major bank. So all these people were buying stock, and he was making a lot of money. He was like, man, I'm rolling in it. Well, eventually people started to want to cash out their stock. They wanted to sell their stock back while the market was still high. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about stock markets and the market. But for now, I'm just going to give you a very quick explanation. I'm going to write it here in my little pad where I don't have my pen, my big pen. Hold on. I'm telling you, it's my office here, and I never have all this stuff. Okay, so let's say this is what was happening. So all these people, and I'm going to have to, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to turn this around. So all these people are investing in Law's stock option, okay? They're investing. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots of people investing. And there's lots and lots of money being made and going into the pockets of John Law and the Mississippi bubble people. Well, eventually people start saying, hey, this market is so high. So while the market is still high, these shareholders, the people that were buying stocks and shares in the Mississippi bubble, they said, let's get out now before the stocks fall and we lose our money. Because that can happen, and that happens a lot, especially with trend stocks. This is your little quick information. You're gonna buy, okay, let me tell you, oh, for real. Okay, these are my pants. I love my pants. Y'all see them? Stand on my chair, okay? So these are my pants, and I got them from Disney World in Disney Springs from a boutique. So it's a real place. It wasn't just some random thing, and they're not pajamas. These are actual pants that you wear outside, and I do. My kids are super, super embarrassed when I do it though, but I don't even care. So when I got these, the princess craze for Disney was massive. Everybody was like, "Oh, the princesses, the princesses, the princesses." So let's say I do have stock in Disney. I have stock in Disney, and if I wanted to, when everyone was really going crazy over this whole princess thing, and now we've got all these other ones. We've got like now it's, oh gosh, what are my kids into? It's the little, like, I don't know, LOL or whatever. You got all kind of stuff now that are competing with Disney princesses. But for a while, Disney princesses, that was like the bomb, okay? Let me make sure I'm checking my time. So getting back here, I keep getting distracted. So if I wanted to, and my stock was rising, I mean, Disney was the big thing. There were no other real competitors as far as little girl, things, items. So what would have been smart for me, but not really, because I left my money in there. But that's whatever, okay? But what I could have done was, while the market was so high and Disney was making so much money on the whole princess craze, if I would have sold my stock back and said, hey, I want to sell it, here it is, I could have made a huge investment. Because let's just say that I bought my shares in Disney, and when I bought them, they were only, I don't know, let's say $20 a share, okay? And I bought 7 shares, or 5, just for the sake of it, let's do 5 shares, because 5 shares. So I bought 5 shares at $20 a share. Disney starts getting this boom. Everybody wants princesses. Everything. Everybody wants princess this, princess that. Adults, obviously. Children, everybody. It's just crazy. So then, because the company is making more money, my stock value is going to rise. So while Disney is making all that bank off of princesses, my $20 stock that I have 5 in, 5 times 20, skyrockets up to $100 a share. So now I have not $100, because I had five shares at $20. I have 5 shares at $100. So my initial investment was only $100, because I bought 5 shares for $20. But now that Disney is doing really well, I have $100 for 5 shares. So I'm making $500. That's an increase of $400. I did not do that. I just left my money in there because I'm young, and high risk stocks are good for young. Well, I'm young-ish. I can't believe I said that. It's the first time I've ever classified myself young in like forever. I'll have to tell my kids. So anyway, you could do that. You can say, hey, I want to get out while the market is good so that I can make money, because eventually the markets fall. They fluctuate. They're up and they're down. And so lots of people could say, hey, I'm doing this now because the market may fall. Okay? So that is what's going on with Law. So he's got all these people that are investing in this Mississippi bubble. But then people start saying, hey, look how good this company is doing. Let's cash out for our investments. Let's cash out while it's still high. Here's the problem. John Law didn't put any of that money back into the Louisiana colony. He didn't, because there were no iron deposits. There were no gold deposits, of very, very little. There was oil, but at this time, oil wasn't the big thing that it is today. So there weren't these things that he was saying. So these people were investing in, a stock that did not have any assets. And assets kind of thing like money, things that make you money. An asset is something that you have to say, oh, I have this, this, and this. They had none. So these people were investing in like false stocks that would not really even exist. So all of a sudden, the people were like, hey, we're trying to get our money back. And John Law is saying, I don't have it right now. And it was very obvious that he didn't have it at all. And the whole Mississippi bubble bursts. So the people in France and in Louisiana, they lost their fortunes. A lot of them invested everything they had in this. And so it eventually got to the point where the people blamed Law for everything, rightfully so. They ran him out in the streets, where they stoned him to the point where he was trying, barely could make it. And he ran away and fled to Italy, and where he died in poverty. So that whole Mississippi bubble, that whole proprietorship that he was now in control of Louisiana, gone. Crozat said, I don't want it. Gone. Law in his bubble they're gone, like literally gone. They like, they can't even go into the country. They fled the country. So now the king has to decide, what do I do now? Who am I going to take this? Because I don't want to relinquish control. I don't want to give it over to the English because he hated them. And he didn't want to go over to Spain because he didn't want them to have the whole Mississippi River. So because he wanted so much control over that Mississippi River, that entire way, all the way from Canada, he had to find someone to run this colony for him and to do it in a way that made, if not made the money, if just kept it in France's hand. And the only person that he could think of who could do this job and do it successfully was Bienville, really. So he calls up Bienville and he says, all right, given my options, you're the best choice, okay? You're the best choice, okay? So Bienville says, I accept the position. And he goes back to Louisiana. Now, while he's there, Bienville, he's got a good relationship with, the Native Americans. And the establishments that had been set up before, Fort Maurepas and Fort St. Denis and Natchitoches, all had issues that were not helping the situation. They were kind of removed from the actual mouth of the Mississippi. So Bienville decides that he's going to establish a colony right at the mouth of the Mississippi River bend, where it bends, so that he would be in complete control over everything that went through to the Mississippi River. This way, he wasn't too far removed. So he decides that he's going to find this little place, and he finds it right located in the bend of the Mississippi River, and he names it Nouvelle Orleans, which in French means New Orleans. So our city, our beautiful city of New Orleans, was established by Bienville. Once again, you do not want Bienville or his brother to be your real estate agent, because once he established this colony, this New Orleans, and he named it for the Duke of Orleans in France. That's why it's called New Orleans, because it's from the Duke of Orleans. Because as soon as this place was established, it became very obvious that this was going to be a problem as far as flooding, because the place flooded not only during hurricanes or whatever, but constantly. Anytime the rainfall got heavy, it was going to flood. Anytime that anything, there were no levees, there was nothing, there was no drainage system, so the place flooded constantly. And now he's got this big city that he's like, or not really city at this time, this big colony that he's established that floods constantly. But it's good though. The flooding is something that's very beneficial to the soil in and around New Orleans. And it's right at that bend in the Mississippi River that makes it super profitable as far as trading goes. And because it is right there in the Mississippi River, you have a reputation of people that are going to kind of be in that kind of area. We kind of call it a boom town in the, the Wild West. And you got lots of people that were there to have a good time. And when you have lots of people there that are there to have a good time, you draw other people there that are there to have a good time. So New Orleans, from its infancy, from the very beginning, from its earliest stages, was always a fun place to go where people went. Okay, there was lots of gambling. There was lots of ladies of ill repute, if you catch my drift. Lots of pirates and privateers. This is where Jean Lafitte became, got a lot of his stuff done. This was like a place to just let loose, have fun, but to also trade and make money. And so because of that, and because this land, this establishment, this colony was owned by France, any monies or profits that were made in New Orleans and throughout the port of New Orleans went back to France. So finally, King Louis is getting a return on his investment. And that means that he's making money off of the land. And it's through Bienville. So who would have known? All right, so one of my favorite things about Bienville, because he's a pretty cool character in my book. I really think he's awesome. Another one that we're going to talk about is Earl Long. He's just so crazy. He's really one of my favorites too. So Bienville, though, this word gets out, okay? So people are like, oh my gosh, this New Orleans? This is making a lot of money. We need to get a hand in this. So of course, you've got the three big mamma jammas: Spain, France, and England. England decides that they're going to go and set up their own colony right around New Orleans, and they're going to say that this is ours and we're going to take over, because England was the top dog of the three ones at this time. So when they were in constant battle to take one up on France. So England decides they're going to send their own ships and they're going to establish their own kind of a place, because, you know, they want a piece of the pie too. So one day, Bienville, because I'm not joking, Bienville was like this good time guy, okay? So he's like not running the colony or the establishment. He decides he's going to take his boat out. He's going to go roll down like Lake Pontchartrain, okay, and Lake Bourne, right around Chalmette, New Orleans. He's just out there in his rowboat, having a good time, probably, you know, drinking something. I don't know. I'm guessing he probably, but based on what I know, or I have read about Bienville, he was probably doing that, you know, drinking as well. So he's looking at these people, and all of a sudden he's like, oh my gosh. And he sees all these English ships rolling right into the Lake Bourne, okay? And right around Lake Pontchartrain, Lake Bourne. And he's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? Because, yeah, New Orleans was this port city, was making good money. Yeah, it was a fun time place to go, but their defenses were not at all adequate to stand up to places like England. They just weren't. So he was like, if the British ships come through the Lake Bourne, Lake Pontchartrain area, and they come into the New Orleans area, they're going to be able to take it over, because there's no way that we could defend ourselves. There's no way. How are they going to defend themselves? You know, New Orleans was full of like pirates and gamblers and drunkards and good time people and all this kind of stuff. So Bienville starts to think. He's got street smarts, y'all. That's something I don't have. I have no idea. I have zero common sense. You could ask anyone. I have a lot of book smarts, but again, I zero. I would have been gone. I would have been like, ah, screaming with my head cut off. Bienville, though, had a lot of street smarts. So he goes and he rolls his boat up to the British ship, and he says, look, I just want to warn you. I can see all of y'all is from Britain, but I'm going to be, look, I'm cool, right? I'm a cool guy. I don't want any kind of drama, but I'm here to tell you that right around that bend, there's a ton of French ships ready to fire at you. And the moment they see you, they're going to blow their cannonballs, and they're going to sink every ship, and you're going to be gone. There's no way that you could ever defeat them, because they are the strongest and the greatest naval fleet. And you are walking yourself into a trap. Because I'm just telling you this because I'm your friend. I don't want to have any problems. I'm just sitting here rolling in my rowboat in Lake Pontchartrain. So I just want to have a good day. You want to have a good day. Just go ahead and don't create any problems. So the British were like, oh, thank you, thank you. So they turned their ships around and they went back to England. So Bienville saved New Orleans from severe problems with the French. I mean, he was that ingenious that he did this. So the guy that saved New Orleans the first time, because we've had a lot of people, a lot of times we needed to be saved, but the first time was the Iberville's younger brother, who was known to have no guidance, poor morals, bad, just running of things. He saved us. And I think he sets a precedent for future people in New Orleans and in Louisiana history that people kind of underestimate, but really turn out to be really, really beneficial for our city, really, and our state. So that now, last point, Louisiana now, after Bienville has done all this, it is now back in royal control. The king is the one controlling it. And he says, Bienville, you've just proved your weight in gold. And now I want you to be the governor of the whole Louisiana area. So Bienville now was the governor under the French Regency flag, meaning the King of France. French Regency refers to the king. French Republic refers to like Napoleon and the Napoleon era, once the king and queen had been beheaded. You know, that's what. So right now we're at the Regency era. Then when we'll get to Napoleon, it's the Republic. Okay, so that is all I have for you today, guys. Don't forget to put in your code word right here. And come to class. Definitely don't miss class. And listen to this show. I know you don't like to see me teaching, and sometimes it's really boring, which I can't even fathom because I don't understand how anybody is bored with history. But definitely watch these and put in the code word. It's the Easy 100. And this is all the information you're going to be tested over. So filling out your guided notes, what I want you to do, and the ways people are like, hey, I don't know how to fill out my guided notes. You can fill them out by reading your textbook. All the information that I gave you, it starts on page 98 and it goes to page 103. That's where you'll find everything for the guided notes. Also, this Miss Meyer Show episode talks about everything that you're going to be encountering on your test. All the stuff. And also by the content that we've got in class. So that's 3 different givers of information. So definitely check this out and make sure to watch the cool video at the very end. And I will see you in class. So au revoir or adios. Bye. Hi guys, it's Miss Meyer and Isabel. This her right here. So we just got some dragons. What is it called again? Dragons something from here at the mall. And so we're gonna try this out. It's my first time trying it. Hope that it doesn't burn my mouth because it's smoking. It's like literally smoking. So here we go. We're gonna try the pink one first because y'all know it's my favorite color.
This is red.
Oh, that's red. Well, we're gonna pretend that it's pink.
Mom.
You're dropping them on the floor.
Oh, what?
All right, here we go. Is it supposed to blow out smoke? Am I blowing out smoke? God. I'm like, oh, it's loud. Don't blow your fingers.
That really
Don't do that. Missy, don't do that. It says don't pick it up with your fingers.
I didn't. I actually.
Especially your orange one. But honestly, they taste like just dry cereal. They taste like Fruit Loops, dried Fruit Loops.
We're done.
Oh.
Where'd they go?
Watch this, y'all.
I'm gonna go ask them if they want.